Hello, Patrick.
Hello.
Nice Bears game yesterday.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they did all right. We will see though.
I just hope they keep Fields in there.
They got a long way still. Yeah, I'd like to keep
They
Fields in
they
there.
already said today that he's not going to
Come
start
on.
next week.
I'll get it.
Where's
All right.
Monty?
Here's
Yeah, where's
7
Monty?
o'clock.
There.
Where's
we can have-
Monty?
I think Monty's on here, isn't he?
He's right in the middle.
There he is. All right, let's go ahead and get the meeting started. I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's Monday, September 20th. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee,
Here.
Alderman Glab,
Here.
Alderman McClatchy,
Here,
Alderman Harding,
Here.
Alderman Stratt,
Here.
Alderman Devine,
Here.
Alderwoman Miller,
Here.
And council, everyone please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag
To
of
the
the
flag
of the
United
United
States
States
of
of
America,
America, to the republic
under God,
indivisible,
liberty and justice for all.
for all.
All right, at this time, I'll open up for public comment. We'll go ahead and start with Tom. Tom, if you can unmute yourself, and the floor is yours.
Hi, so my name is Thomas Stovin. I know I'm pretty young, but I'm actually the not conservator or whatever of my parents' house, taking care of them. And I found out to my concern, as well as other neighbors in my neighborhood over on Ropewood Lane, and that's in the North Oak subdivision, that they're getting some of the roads repaved and not the rest. And I was doing a little investigating today, as well as I got a list of what roads might be getting done soon and everything. That neighborhood was built in sections. It was never built all at one time. It started back in the late 80s, I'm sorry, early 90s. And then by one builder and then finished by another builder. And then the neighborhood was, as we know it today, got started back at late 90s, early 2000s. They started doing the other section of the neighborhood. So the concern that I'm having is that almost three, I think they're doing a little tiny section of one of the streets of the old neighborhood, and they're repaving it, and they're not repaving another 12 houses. We're missing 5 houses on Chestnut repaving, and then 3 houses on Redwood with equally as bad road conditions as the roads that are getting repaved. But when I went to the town or the Public Works today and try to get some information, according to the thing, those roads are still in good condition. And what I think happened is when they did you guys' testing, they didn't divide up the old section and the new section, and where the new section is much better condition. So the reason why I'm here is I think it would be more beneficial and cost effective to the city if you guys would maybe consider resurfacing the extra, 5 houses on this road or Chestnut, and then the 3 houses long on Redwood, where it's also added to the old section as well that is already getting repaved sometime this year, I guess. And I'm sorry, I've never done this before. I don't know how else to word it. I'm trying to be as best as I can about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. So what I'll do is I'll talk to our Public Works Director tomorrow morning, and I'll take a look out there, and we'll be in touch with you. We normally don't respond to public comment, but we'll be in touch with you. Hey, Troy, did you go into Public Works today? Did you say, Tom?
Yes, I did talk to Troy, actually, yes.
Okay, Troy, you got his information?
Correct. I also got the Alderman Frank. He just talked to me about 30 minutes ago, and he said he's going to be taking a ride there tomorrow, and I'm going to hopefully meet him if he calls. If not, then hopefully he'll see what I'm talking about.
Okay,
So,
perfect. All right, yeah, so we'll be in touch, Tom. I'll talk
All
to
right.
Troy in the morning and
Thank you
I'll
guys
take
for
it
your,
out on my truck.
thank you for your guys' time. Thanks.
Have a good night.
You too.
All right, does anyone else that would like to make a public comment at this time? See none? All right, moving on with the consent agenda, items 3A through 3J. Is there any items that council would like to take off for separate consideration? Alderman Santee.
3B, I just would like to pull that and do it as an individual item.
Sure. Any others? All right, I am looking for a motion and a second to approve 3A and then 3C through 3J. Alderman Miller,
I'll make that motion to approve 3A and 3C through 3J.
thank you. Second? Alderman Strack,
I second that motion.
thank you. Discussion on these items? See none? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Strack,
Yes.
Alderman Santee,
Yes.
Alderman Glad,
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy,
Yes.
Alderman Harding,
Yes.
Alderman Devine.
Yes.
Thank you, council. The item that was pulled 3B by Alderman Santee. I'll go ahead and start off with Alderman Santee if you want to have a discussion on this.
And if
Yeah.
your call, Mayor, if you want to make the
Yeah.
motion, I'll gladly make the motion now, but I just have a couple of quick questions for Ann, our PR director. But first of all, I think this is a very important document that I think Ann will agree with me that she's been working on for many, many years in getting this done as a standalone item. If I may ask, Ann, when was the last time we updated, or actually when we did a employee manual for McHenry, City of McHenry?
I believe the last one was 1996.
Mhm.
Yes,
Okay.
but I mean, there were policies, brought forward like throughout that time frame, but the entire handbook. So for example, when the state passed the hands-free law, like that you cannot drive and talk on the phone, yes,
Mhm.
we instituted that policy and distributed it to employees. But this is the first reiteration of the entire handbook.
And just in a review, I understand that our attorney group of John Kelly has reviewed this and also approved it. Have we gone to directors, administrators, any concerns, comments from them, or they're able to make adjustments that they were comfortable with?
Absolutely, yes. For example, I'll give you one example. There was a monies received policy in the former handbook. So, I sent to Carolyn and Derek. That's really an accounting policy. It's not, really shouldn't be in the handbook. And so we deleted that from this current handbook because it is a finance policy. So any area where the directors were involved, yes, that was sent to specific directors and Administrator Moorfield. Copies of the handbook were distributed at various times for review, and their feedback taken into consideration.
One more question. Do other municipalities, or are we looking at placing this somewhere on our website in regards to potential employees that are being interviewed, that they may want to review this prior to an interview session or what have you?
Well, not since our conversation, but no, I did. So I surveyed 6 other municipalities: Algonquin, Crystal Lake, Woodstock, Huntley, Gurnee, and Highland Park. None of them have their employee handbook because it is an internal document. So
Okay.
none of them have their employee handbook on their external website.
Thank you. And once again, just to reiterate, I appreciate what Ann and Nicole have gone through to get this done. It's definitely something that's been on on the 4-page for many years, just to be able to update this manual because it's a 1996 manual, a basic manual, but now we've made some arrangements through the years. But I'm happy to say, you know, I'm quite comfortable with it, and that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other council members have any questions, comments? All right, I'm looking for a motion and second to approve 3B as presented. Alderman Santee?
I will make the motion to approve the City of McHenry's personal policy and manual as presented.
All right, second? Alderman Harding?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee,
Yes.
Alderman Harding,
Yes.
Alderman Strack,
Yes.
Alderman Devine,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy,
Yes.
Alderman Glab.
Yeah.
Thank you, council. Next item on the agenda was 5A is a discussion item that is being removed from tonight's meeting. We'll bring it back at a later date. 5B is a conceptual presentation for Kunat Apartments. Director Palarek, you want to go ahead and present this? At least get us started.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. So staff has been working with Kunant, John and Brian Kunant, on a development at the northeast corner of Veterans and South Route 31. The site consists of about 35 acres. The proposal is for 540 apartments, 270 of them being 1-bedroom and 270 of them being 2-bedroom. A little history on, I'm going to share my screen here. Hopefully I can do that. I'm going to give a little history on this property. Can everybody see this?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the property in question as it was depicted in the picture in the agenda supplement. In 2014, there was a use variance granted. This property was originally zoned business park, and in 2014, the developer came forward and a use variance was granted for the southern half of the property, as you can see here next to the old Family Services building. This was about 15 acres, and a use variance for residential development was granted here. That consisted of 15 acres, and they were proposing 240 units on that site. So that was a dwelling units per acre was roughly 16. The Kunants are proposing to develop the entire site, including the portion to the north that was left out of the last proposal. So that's a total of 35 acres with just over 15 dwelling units per acre. So a little bit less dense than what was proposed originally down here. Again, this development did not go forward, so we continue to sit with empty vacant lots right now. That's kind of where we're at. Brian, are you on the line?
I am.
So just real quick, so council knows, we have been working with them in relation to traffic, utilities, but we really haven't gotten too far into the weeds yet with this. So Brian, more than you want to take over and go ahead and.
Sure, I'd be happy to. First of all, thank you for having us and listening to us this evening. We were approached by the current owner of the property, who's had it for a while, about this concept. We know that based on the apartments that we currently have in the city of McHenry that are bumping at 100% occupancy, that the demand and the need is very, very strong. Many workers that are working at the light industrial and the other businesses here in town actually drive to McHenry. McHenry imports quite a few people every day to come to work because there is no place that they can live that they can afford. This particular complex is a little bit higher end apartment complex, and it fits a need a little bit nicer than really any apartments we have in town, but not quite to the extent of a townhouse or a single family home. So it's really designed as a really attractive complex. We have a similar project that we're currently doing in Volo, the city of Volo. Again, the reason for it, again, is the demand in the area. If you've looked at what apartment complexes have been built and added to not only this community, but other surrounding communities, it's almost nothing. And we're talking like 20 years of no real development of single or standalone apartment complexes. This particular complex, we would be building it in 2 phases. Exactly half the project, 270 units, would be in phase 1, and that would be the portion closest to Route 31. The second half, and it would include the clubhouse in phase 1. It would have amenities such as the indoor pool, outdoor pool. It'd have, tennis courts, playground areas. It really would be designed as a really, really nice complex. I believe that there were some elevations that were also sent out. Is that correct?
Yes, I have the clubhouse.
Yeah, we had put together some preliminary drawings to give you an idea what we're talking about from a clubhouse standpoint, and then also the actual buildings themselves. They would be made to today's standards, obviously, with all sprinkled buildings. We'd meet all fire codes and handicap accessibilities and all the other things that are, in today's standard for apartments. They'd have washers and dryers in each unit. There may be a curiosity why we're only going to be looking for 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom units. The demand for 3-bedroom units, although there is a small demand, is really, you typically end up with, and this has been our experience, more children with a 3-bedroom, and there really isn't laid out that well. Most apartments are not laid out for large numbers of children. Most of the complexes that we have that have 2 bedrooms and 1 bedrooms have very few children involved. And so we just feel it's a better layout to not have any of 3 bedrooms in that particular project. In working with staff, we are very aware that there's going to be a need for improvements, such as a new signal light, street light, if you will, at Route 31 and State Park Road, or what's the name of the road? Veterans Parkway. Veterans Parkway. I've changed it since I was a kid. Happened to grow up. John and I grew up real close to this area, so we're very familiar with it. We're also looking at upgrades to the sewer system. There's several areas that the sewer lines have to be oversized, and there's also a lift station that would have to be increased. As far as water, there's adequate water, but the pressure would be in question. So we would be having our own private pump system that would increase the pressure for water, so the 3rd floor showers, whereas Fun is taking one on the 1st floor. Let's put it that way. We're just, obviously it's very preliminary. We wanted to get a feel from the city council, if this is something that we should continue to pursue. And if so, we're very excited to work with the city council in not only in making the outside look of the buildings and the landscaping and all the other improvements to the liking of the city council and the city fathers, but also to make sure that from an infrastructure standpoint, it fits within everything from fire and safety and public works and so on. So that's where we're at this time.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, John. So at this time, I guess we'll open it up for city council if they have any questions, comments. Obviously this is just a discussion item to see where the council stands on this kind of development at this location. So go ahead and get it started. Alderman Santee, go ahead.
Hey, Alderman Sandy, if I could just step in real quick. Cody's on the line too, so if there's more specific zoning questions or whatnot, I should be able to answer them, but if there's something that I can't answer, we have Cody on the line too.
Thank you. Real quickly, on the north end of the property that abuts the industrial park, then also the east end, the east side, for the most part, that's going to be up against the potential of housing developments over there, correct, Ross? The east section?
Yeah, I'll share my screen real quick again so you guys can see this.
And focus on those 2 areas. Either A, would be looking at some type of either fencing on those 2 borders or some type of something to, like trees or like what's done on the 31 side of that development already, or that property, where it's got the hillside, would
Right, so
one of those, yeah,
This is zoned single-family residential right now?
Yeah.
This is phase 3 of this subdivision here. So there would be, at this point here, yes.
okay. And something just to, either some type of negotiations with staff and the Kunats in regards to some type of bordering effect, whether it's natural materials or potentially fencing, I'm not sure. Just one of my thoughts. I guess one thing I didn't see in the drawings, Brian and John, any walking paths actually through the development?
Yes, the entire site would be connected with walking paths.
Okay, thank
We'd
you.
we'd also be extending the walking path down 31. Ross, there's a bike path or a walking path you indicated?
Correct. That is, Troy, you're on the line. That is in the Route 31 expansion plans, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So right now we're committed to funding our portion of it. I think it'll get 80-20 funding. So right now we are on, as a city, are on the hook for the 20.
Okay. Thank you. And then with the clubhouse, you mentioned you're planning on doing a pool with the clubhouse. Is that correct, Brian and
Yeah.
John?
Yes, there'll be an indoor and an outdoor swimming pool. There will be an inside exercise area for the residents, as well as there would be a meeting space. People that have a birthday party or something larger than they'd fit in their apartments, we like to provide a meeting space that they can use for that type of activity.
And Brian, you're doing your presentation. You said you guys are in the process of building. You have a development right now in Volo. Is that being developed as we speak?
Yes.
And how far out is it?
The first phase of that project, which is about 116 units, and the clubhouse will be completed by March of 2022. So
Okay.
we're pretty far along. There's quite a few buildings already up and under roof and everything. That
Okay,
you can
so-
drive by and take a look.
Okay, and so the first half is about 115 units. So that total build out will be somewhere around 230,
It's 240 actually.
240. Okay. Thank you very much. I have no other questions right now.
Alderman McClatchy, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's a great location for it, to be honest with you. My only concern would be what Vic just mentioned about a berm separating the residential from the apartments, but good location, looks good.
Alderman Glab, did you have something?
All right, we're talking out in Volo, number one, 240 units on how many acres?
In Volo, how many acres? 17 acres.
17 acres. Okay. And where is it located?
It's located directly behind the Home Depot. So if you were to go to the Home Depot, it's directly behind, east of the Home Depot, and it actually borders Home Depot on the Home Depot's east side is our west side.
Right, so it's probably right off the light. You could probably get right in there, right? To see it.
Hardigan Road is where you would turn off of Route 12 and you'd go right to the site.
Right. Great. I guess this one would be more for Troy. We talked about the water pressure and additional pumps. How's that going to affect our system? Will that drain pressure from other areas?
No, it's just more demand in terms of usage. As far as them bleeding pressure off our system, that really won't be the case. That just because that's one of the higher locations in town, it just naturally doesn't have good pressure. The only way to increase it would be to build another higher tower or to raise a tower. But if you did that, because we don't have different pressure zones, if you raise pressure places that are already high, it would actually push it too high. So, but in short, No, I have no concerns about negatively affecting our overall system pressure.
Okay, so in other words, it's more just the elevation problem over there that they need the pumps and not so much the pressure itself.
Correct.
Okay, I can understand.
And production wise, we can meet that demand.
I mean, for bigger areas, we put lift stations in, and what they're talking about is like a mini lift station in a way, correct?
Well, the lift station improvements he was referring to are for the sanitary sewer lift station that is in, oh shoot, I'm drawing a blank.
Oaks and Irish Prairie.
Oaks and Irish Prairie. So we're gonna need to do some pump upgrades there. The pumps as they're currently sized can't push quite enough flow in the further out years of our PE projections. So that's all. But as far as needing like a booster pump, a city-owned booster pump to serve this development, no. But as you mentioned, they will be providing small private booster pumps basically to lift or raise the pressure from what it is at the ground, which is kind of borderline, to what it needs to be at the third floor.
When we're talking this type of density and this many units, we're talking a lot of traffic. It's great if we're getting a traffic light out to 31, but what about getting out to Veterans Memorial? Are we going to be able to safely have, let's say, in the mornings between the hours, especially probably 7 and 8, where residents are trying to get out to work to 31 from the Oaks, or not, sorry, not the Oaks, whatever it's called back there. And then you have this large development here pouring out on there. Is that going to be a problem as far as traffic getting out to Veterans in order to get out to 31?
We don't believe so. Most of the future, I guess,
by your face, it doesn't look like we've even thought about it. So I don't want to put you in behind the 8 ball. I'm not trying to, honest.
I mean, our focus has been on the signal at Route 31. That's
right.
That's been our real concern as far as, whether or not people are going to have issues anywhere along Veterans Parkway. I don't believe so. We've talked about in the future doing some channelization work at Barraville and Veterans Parkway. But as far as like a signal somewhere else or some sort of major capacity improvement other than the light at 31, no.
Could we possibly, I mean, needless to say, this isn't going to happen overnight if it does get approved. Could we start looking at that? I mean, because again, you've got that property there, and then you've got the property east of there that's possible single family that will drain out on there. You have the property that is just south of this. We don't know what's going to happen there. That's all going to drain out to Veterans Park, and we just need to possibly have some kind of vision of how that's all going to work down in the future with development, because it's not all going to be able to hunky-dory get out to Veterans Parkway, for everybody. And we want it to be smooth for everybody, because when everybody's late for work or, getting ready for work early in the morning, everybody's kind of not as sharp as they are in the middle of the day. And we don't want to see any accidents. We don't want to see anybody, any road rage. We want it to be as pleasant for everybody as possible. So if we could just kind of study that over a period of time, again, like I said, we're not looking for answers, but maybe by the time if this were to get an approval to go forward and we're start talking about looking at their proposal as far as layouts and everything else, how is that going to interact with everything that's going on over there?
So that, Alderman Glab, just to chime in here, that is part of our review process as we get into this is the first step of our review process to get the developer before the city council as a conceptual presentation. So, if the developer feels comfortable enough to move forward after tonight, we'll start those processes of traffic analysis, stormwater analysis, all the things that go into the development. So, we will make note that that is a concern but it will definitely be addressed.
Right.
So, for frame of reference, so right now the ADT on veterans is 1,800. The ADT on Bearville is 1,200. So those are, other than some minor channelization improvements, I don't see any future need for anything much more than some channelization, specifically at Bearville. You know, Dartmoor, for example, is kind of a similar purpose, that you're in the 2,500 range on Dartmoor right now. And, you know, with more points of ingress, egress onto Dartmoor, and it's not, you know, not really an issue. So, but we can look a little hard at it.
Dartmoor is definitely an issue. Don't never say it's never an issue. No, I mean, if this was on the east end of veterans, I'd have a little bit more of a problem with it, especially considering, and I was dead set against when they did this development, totally, that they put what, you got one lane going east, one lane going west, right? I believe as far as down veterans. So, I mean, there's,
It's one east, one west.
again, you know, I think we need to look at that for the future as far as if we're going to have this type of density in and out of there, how's the traffic going to work? And that would be my main concern more than anything else. You know, you take a look at the amount of units and the amount of people that you're talking bringing into the city, it's definitely concerning to me. You know, how much multifamily are we going to get in this town without offsetting where we should be as far as single family, because this was always a single family town. Even when we had the last discussions on the 288 unit apartments, I always thought this was probably the best spot that we have in the city to put an apartments on. I really do. Again, like I say, I mean, if we're looking at getting this approved, I would hope that we would start putting the brakes on, though, as far as looking at any other multifamily. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other Alderman Harding, go ahead.
Yeah, for Troy, are we definitely getting a signal there at 31 and Veterans Parkway, or is that going to hinge on this development also? And how long does that usually take? I mean, that's kind of a.
So we would have to meet the warrants first. I don't know whether or not this development on its own would push us over those warrants. And then right now the state does not have a signal in their preliminary plans for Route 31. There is enough pavement there, so adding the signal equipment is is a much smaller undertaking. You're talking several $100,000, maybe up to $500,000, rather than $2, $3, $4 million for a full channelization, new pavement, signalization, if you were doing all the pavement work on its own. So I can't answer that tonight, whether or not this specific development on its own would push us across those warrants, but it's gonna have, by the time all this develops, I believe we'll be there. Everything along vets.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions, comments, input? Alderman Glad, you can just hold on one second. I'm gonna go to some other council members. We'll come back to you. Alderman Devine, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm all right with the proposal. I'm a little concerned about the number. 540 seems like a huge number to me, being that we just approved 288 a few months ago. I like the location. There's a need for it. I'm just not sure on the 540. That seems, maybe somebody from staff could answer this. Have we had any other projects this size in McHenry? I'm not sure on that, so.
I do have, our largest is, right now is 208 units. That's, Authentics will be our largest at 288. But with that study, and I could provide that apartment study to council, once again, I don't have the exact numbers offhand, but I still believe that with the addition of this 540, we're below that absorption rate that we can maintain. Cody, do you remember offhand? I don't know if Cody was having troubles getting on.
Yeah, I could, Russ, yeah, just to talk about the absorption rate, I think the biggest thing is that there's like an asterisk next to that, the number they give. It's because in the market study area that they performed their analysis, because there hadn't been really any new construction of apartments in the last like 20 years in McHenry County, it was very challenging to gauge demand because they couldn't really reference anything in today's market economy, especially post housing crash of 2008. So that was one of the biggest challenges out there. But they said, I think it was well over 1,000 market absorption rate per year, but I could have to double check, and I can definitely get back to you on that one.
Okay, thanks. That's all I have.
Any other council members? Alderman Glab, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment as far as the fact that we keep talking about that we haven't had any major multifamily in the last 20 years. And we really haven't had that much single family in quite a few years as well because of the housing crash and everything else. And things have just gotten turned back up. So, when we keep referring to, we haven't had any for the last 20 years, we could say that for a lot of residential development throughout the town of all different types of levels. The other question I had was, we were talking about, was it walking paths down 31?
There's a multi-use path that is going to be on the east side of Route 31.
It'd be more like like what we have on Dartmoor with the asphalt rather than concrete.
Yes.
Okay. And is that designed by the state, what they expect?
Troy.
So that was what they the option that they chose with public input based upon the results of the phase 1 report. And then we presented kind of our level or our options for our level of participation in the project to council, what we want to participate in: street lighting, multi-use paths, sidewalks. I believe council opted in and provided us with the recommendation to move forward with jumping on board with the multi-use paths.
How do you see that as far as with the widening of 31 and the timing as far as the walk paths and everything else in that area? How would that work?
Timing, well, it would be constructed when Route 31 was widened. So right now, they're, I would say, just a few months into their phase 2 plan production. I don't know how far they are in the right-of-way acquisition. There is a decent amount of right-of-way that needs to be taken. But they're going to piecemeal the contract or the construction in terms of segments of the road north to south, because they're going all the way to Crystal Lake. But as far as piecemealing elements of the construction within specific roadway sections, no. When they construct it, they will be constructing sidewalk, 5-lane section of highway, and multi-use path all at once.
Right, but we are on the hook as far as the walk paths, correct?
We're on the hook for the local portion of it. So I believe you're talking about the 20%, the typical 20%.
Right. So what I'm getting at is, and we've done this in the past on some developments as far as the cost of those paths, needless to say, because of the timing of 31, you don't know for sure exactly when that'll be widened, the traffic light and everything else. We would wind up taking a developer donation and putting that in a bank until such time as that's developed.
We could quantify their portion of the local share. We could absolutely quantify that.
All right, Alderman Santee.
Yeah, real quick. Thank you very much for your time, Brian and John. I know we didn't see too much tonight, but I like what I see. I like the A-frame roofs and the brick that you're showing on the sides. And yeah, I look forward to being able to move to the next step, working with staff and then going to the next meeting, which I think would be probably planning and zoning. And appreciate you spending some time with us tonight.
Thank you.
All right, before we move forward and get kind of a straw poll here, Alderwoman Miller, I don't want to throw you. Could you mind giving some input on this? Just so we kind of know where you stand on it.
Absolutely. I like what I see. Obviously, given our apartment study or our residency study that we've done recently, there's a distinct need for residential apartment housing. So I think the Kunats are filling a need that we have. I agree completely that the 1 and 2 bedroom workforce or above housing is a necessity that we are short of, and their 100% or above occupancy rate demonstrates that. I think the location is amazing. So I think it's a perfect fit for that location. And again, I like what I see in the product. So I'm thrilled, and I look forward to the next step. So thank you for bringing it to us for conceptual approval. I don't have any reservations.
Thank you, Alderman Miller.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Who else is not giving any input? Alderman Strack?
Thank you, Mayor. I would probably follow Alderwoman Miller's comments. I think conceptually it looks good. We're way early phase to see what that development really looks like by the time it's shaken out. But I think the demand is certainly here for that type of usage, and the location is obviously ideal. I think the traffic light is a big concern at Veterans Parkway. Anybody trying to go left on, from Veterans onto 31 is a concern. So the timing of the development could be a little bit of a question mark at what IDOT does with that roadway and that improvement and all the work that's going to be done there. But I certainly think that it's the right location pending where we sit with that traffic light.
And I think we're all on the same page. Brian and John, I think, agree with that as well. So,
Absolutely.
but yeah, so as far as I can see, John and Brian, I think we go down to the next step, work with Ross and also work with Cody, and let's get the ball rolling and see what we can do here.
Hey, Mayor, Cody's got the number. Sorry.
Oh, Cody, go ahead. I didn't see your little hand up there.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So just to go back, the study concluded that the McHenry market area, so the market area, not just the city of McHenry, can absorb or support the construction of 320 new apartment units annually without creating any market weakness.
So just to build on that, Authentics has presented us a 2-year project, 2 phases. They want to be built out in 2 years. And then Brian and John, you're thinking 2 years as well on that?
We're looking at probably 2.5 years for phase 1 and then another 2.5 years for phase 2.
Okay, so a third of what you want in the first year. So, I mean, we have to add them all together, and we'll get close to that 320. So I think, as Alderman Glab stated, we probably should make sure we keep an eye on those numbers. Not that the study's 100% accurate, but it's our only really guiding tool right now.
Alderman Glab, go ahead.
Yeah, and it's 320 that we're talking about. That's countywide, correct?
No, it's the market analysis area is the city of McHenry. There was actually Volo, Cody, and some Lakemore, right? There was it was
they had
McHenry,
to,
but expanded a little bit.
Yeah, they had to expand the study area because there just wasn't a large enough sample size to pull from to be able to gauge market demand accurately.
So again, I just and again, that's a whole different deal than just this project here. Yes, I have some reservations of 540 units, but it's only because of the ingress egress from your location that you would be building, as well as the people that from the other areas that would try to get out to 31. That needs to be looked at. That needs to be planned for the future for development east of you, as well as any other. We've got more homes that are going up there now because that subdivision slowly being completed. And again, like I said, on the other side of Veterans, we don't know what's going to go on the south end there. So that's my concerns more than anything else. The 540, yes, I have a lot of concerns about how many apartments we're bringing into the community. But I think if we were going to put in a larger amount of apartments, this is an ideal location. I've always felt since the days when the property owner now had come in years back, I've always felt this was an excellent location if we're putting in apartments. So I commend you for the fact that you're picking out, and I although they didn't approach you, but you know, the fact that you're looking at this location. So I think that's a plus. But I also feel that if we're going to be looking at 540 units here, that we need to slow down as far as any other developers thinking they're going to come in with big, huge multifamily developments if this one goes through.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman McClatchy, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, we've got a lot of empty stores in this town, and a lot of people come up to you and say, how come we don't have this kind of restaurant, this kind of store? It's because of population. So if we can add to that, I think these stores will come in, these restaurants will come in. So I think this is a win-win for the city and the residents who will be living there.
Thank you.
All right, so we good to go? Alderman Glenn?
Yeah, I have to comment on that retail and all that. You know, other aldermen may have ideas and everything else, whether, you know, if you look at Sue Miller and you look at, or Alderwoman Miller, you look at Alderman Strzok, you know, Alderman Harding, they have all this retail, or I'm sorry, all this real estate background. I've got over 50 years of retail experience, and I'm telling you that adding more population is not going to fill these stores. It's a much larger problem than just populations. You're shaking your head, Mayor. Mayor, I've had 50 years of this. I've seen developments. I've seen one of the largest retailers go and plunge into bankruptcy. And I know of a lot of the background of why and everything else. And I do know of why we have the number one right now. And I know the concerns more in all big markets is the fact that brick and mortar is slowly going away. And I think I've even mentioned the fact that as far as entrepreneurs, and that's where you're going to fill in these smaller places is entrepreneurs. Chain stores aren't expanding, not in the least. And they're not coming to McHenry because the population's gone up, at least not at this time. Everything is focused right now on internet sales. I think entrepreneurs, again, it's difficult with them because of the property taxes that we have in this county, and so the rents are too high. I mean, if you talk to anybody, rents are way out of line in McHenry, and a lot has to do with the property taxes that we get. So I'll leave it at that.
Any other comments, questions regarding this item? Now we'll go ahead and move forward with the next. Brian and John, thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to working with you on the next steps.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Appreciate
everyone.
it.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
All right, we're moving forward forward with 5C. That's the water and sewer base fees, continued discussion, the city council direction, and city council direction, sorry. Director Strange, you want to go ahead and start us off?
Thank you, Mayor. So as you're all aware, we presented back in August some of a few different options for water and sewer base fee increases, 4, I believe, tied to different specific types of capital. So we'll call them capital maintenance improvements. And we did a little more research into our finances and looked at, Carolyn actually did a really good job looking specifically at where we're at with our debt service for the central wastewater treatment plant. And basically what we determined was that based upon the current collections and current base fees, we were actually outpacing the amount of money that we needed to generate to service that debt. So what we're looking at doing is adjusting the debt service fee to what is necessary to service that debt. So a reduction on the debt service for central plant, and then balancing the increases for the recommended base fees with that. So we've really zeroed in that we started out on options that range anywhere from $1.50 to 1485, I believe it was, maybe 1475 per billing period. If you consider the option of reduction in wastewater treatment plant debt service fees corresponding to the increases in the base fees, we've come up with two options for you to consider. The water sewer, the sewer lining option, which includes also sewer lining, water tower painting, and general capital maintenance replacement for all of our other facilities stuff, is option one. That actually would result in a net increase of 50 cents per billing period. Or if we did choose to still look at the water main option, which was the option that was nearing $15, that now becomes the $8.50 option. So we're looking for some direction as far as which of those two options to adopt and bring an ordinance before council for approval at a later date.
Thank you, Troy. Open up for discussion by council. Alderman Miller, go ahead.
So I think I'm gonna probably be the unpopular voice here, but I think we find ourselves in this position because we have kicked the can down the road way too long and band-aided this fund by saying we're afraid to bite the bullet and raise the rate. So it would be my proposal to go with proposed option B. Thank you, Carolyn, for doing the amazing math and calculating that we have enough money that we can reduce the debt service fee and increase the base fee to do all the capital maintenance and replacement of equipment, tower painting, sewer lining, and water main replacement that originally was going to be a large number for a less than large number. So it would be my opinion that if we can get all of that done for literally $8.50 in a raised base fee, that it's time we rip the Band-Aid off and make it happen.
Thank you, Sue. Any other council members have any input, questions, comments? Alderman Glab, go ahead.
Yeah. You know, I take a look at, and again, this is an enterprise fund, and therefore the general fund is not affected by the water and sewer projects that we have. In the past, and I mean time over 20 years ago, the city used to take and they would subsidize some of the capital improvement projects with city money because of without breaking the bank of the water and sewer. And then it was a just decision by some back in the early 2000s that, well, it's an enterprise fund and therefore everything should be paid by the water and sewer users. And I guess I've been asleep for the last 20 years since that comment was made, because one of the biggest users in the city for water and sewer doesn't pay anything into it, and that's the city of McHenry. If the city is going to take and not help out with the capital from the general fund, then let's face it. I mean, you're talking a splash pad. How many gallons of water are going to be used with the splash pad? How many gallons of water are used at the swimming pool, the rec center, the city hall? You know, and we know the city doesn't pay into that separate fund, and you know, we can say, well, it's the city of McHenry, but you know what? Not everybody pays for the water. You have McHenry Shores that has a private water system. You have Martin Woods and some of the other areas way out west that are on well water, so they don't pay for that, but yet they will use our city services and they'll use the water there too. So why is it that we can't subsidize to some extent? And I'm not talking, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, but maybe we should look at what the city of McHenry winds up using out of that system, and why they would not supplement the fund with some type of money for the use that the city uses as far as water. Again, you look at the parks, and when we open up a park, it isn't just for the residents of the city of McHenry. Yeah, it's for the city of McHenry, but you know what? If somebody from outside the city comes in and uses our parks, we don't kick them out. They have, they're able to use it. So if the city's going to provide that, I don't think it should be provided by just the water users themselves or the water and sewer. And I think we need to look at that as an issue down the road. As far as $6, $8 doesn't sound like a lot of money, but to some people, especially a lot of seniors that are on fixed incomes, every time they turn around, they just got hit with a big debt service, in phases a couple years back, and now we're talking about more. And before this is paid off, we're going to be looking at more if we're going to start with a lot of residential development, because the South Wastewater Treatment Plant will only last so long before it's going to need to be expanded. And there will be another, and we're going to be squeezing that when that fund will be paid off, and how we need to go with another debt service. And I understand that, things go up in price, and the need to maintain our systems. And I applaud Troy, the fact that he's on that, because for too long, a lot of these things have been neglected. But I still think to some extent we need to look at being careful as far as treading how fast and how much that we go on debt service.
Any other comments, questions, concerns regarding base fees? Alderman Devine, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I agree with Alderwoman Miller. I think it's time to take care of some of these things that have been neglected for too long. So I agree with option B. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Any other council members? Alderman Strack, go ahead.
I think the infrastructure that can't be seen, and we had this conversation in the past, it's really tough for your constituents to want to pay this dollar that they don't really see any improvement of. But if we have problems with the infrastructure in the future, that cost goes up incrementally quickly if we don't take care of this stuff now. So I have to vote that my sense would be to go with Alderwoman Miller on that option as well. It's not my favorite choice, but I think at the end of the day, it's the choice that we have to make to keep our infrastructure in place.
Thank you. Any other council members? Alderman Harding, go ahead.
I'm leaning towards option A. I just think it's we cover a lot of the things we need to cover with option A. And it's and like what Alderman Glab said too, people, I got a few emails too saying, it's tough to get these, when things rise in price. So I am in agreement that we've kicked the can down the road too long, but I think option A is just a little bit easier pill to swallow. So I'm in favor of option A.
Thank you, Ron. Alderman McClatchy?
I didn't raise my hand, but I'll talk.
I know.
I'm still in the camp where, we've got these fees and now we're adding more fees to it. I would love to see all our pipes be lined. I think that's a really good thing, but to raise any kind of taxes to get that accomplished, I'm against it right now. And thank you, Carolyn. Where are you at? At the last finance committee, she brought us some really good ideas, and thank you, because it looks like we're on the right track as far as lowering the sewer water rates.
Alderman Santee, go ahead.
tonight, looking at this, yeah, concerns with overall numbers, I'm leaning into the camp of option A. I'm not wiping option B off the books for myself. I probably will spend some more time. Troy's gonna love this, to discuss it with him. And I have received some concerns from constituents. I don't want to kick it down the road like Alderwoman Miller is saying. I get it. I just want to understand a little bit more of the sewer lining and probably spend some time with Troy in regards to that portion of the options. Thank you.
Thank you, Vic. All right, so Troy, do you got what you need? It seems
Well,
like,
so the goal of this meeting was to actually get a recommendation
right, it seems like A is,
to adopt a base fee. And it's written, so just so it's clear, the two options we're presenting are what was the 640 program, which includes water tower painting, sanitary sewer lining, and then capital maintenance and replacement of basically all the big ticket wearing parts and equipment of our lift stations, water plants, and wells. That was formerly the 640 option. That is now the 50-cent option per billing period. So that's 25 cents a month. And then option B is basically that same option with the 10-year water main replacement program tacked on. That's $850. It was formerly the 1485 option. So that would count for $850 per billing period. So $425 per month. You know, and we can bring it back for discussion at a later date. But again, this is the meeting that was for that discussion to recommend it for adoption.
Alderman Santi, go ahead.
What's the, okay, so I hear the 850 for the option B. What, if you're asking me the question, I'm definitely on option A tonight. What is the number, the 2-month number for option A? I apologize if I didn't hear it before.
Option A would be 50 cents per billing period. So 50 cents every 2 months. And if you broke it down on a monthly basis, it's a quarter per month.
And I guess I'll ask the question if I can, because I already asked this question of Troy when we had this discussion going into the development of the supplement for this. Like, you know, I think going into the last discussion, our recommendation as a staff was that, you know, what really needed to be done in terms of infrastructure was at the time our 640 option, which is now the 50-cent option. So I asked Troy the same question, you know, even with the numbers changed, you know, while that $8 option looks more, you know, better than $14 that it looked before, or whatever the amount was before, you know, as a staff, I think our recommendation is at least the 50-cent option. You know, we can come up with other plans along the way to deal with the elements included in the option B. But at a minimum, from a maintenance standpoint, we believe the option A is the recommended option. Right, Troy?
Yeah, so that was at the time, the 640 was the one staff was recommending. And we've zeroed down between these two, frankly, just because with what we discovered as far as Carolyn's work, both options have become a lot more palatable.
So kind of my concern, and I'll just give my 2 cents here. So over, you know, things are going to start costing more and more as the years go on. So is there a concern, let's say we do the 50-cent option, and then 5 years from now, if we start doing the linings and doing these other improvements that we need to do eventually, what is that cost going to look like down the road? And that's my biggest concern. Maybe I won't be living here. I certainly won't be mayor, but like, what does the future look like for the residents that will be living here at that time? You know, that's my major concern is it going to cost more? Obviously it's going to, but what kind of dollar? I don't know if anyone can really answer that. I'm just saying, that's just my concern, I guess.
Well, so, and I guess one thing that I would like to chime in on is So one of the things we've done in Public Works is we've also been going through a little bit of a staff attrition process. So one of the contracts that was actually awarded tonight was sanitary sewer lining. We're doing it for this fiscal year. We dropped a management position whose total compensation package was about $135 a year. That was all rolled into sanitary sewer lining for this fiscal year. Next year, that's going to become a true attrition loss that drops off our operating rates if one of these options is adopted. So yes, we are increasing base fees, but correspondingly so, we are also reducing operating rates, basically by applying the same logic and the same model that we applied on the general fund, which delivered the numbers we're putting into the road program.
All right, Alderman Santi, go ahead.
Just, I know it was probably brought up, but when we vote on one of these options, it will be the time frame is the service time frame of this is, correct me if I'm wrong, is it 20 years?
So right now it's not being put in place as a debt service fee. So if we set it at this fee, we've set it up as a 10-year projection.
Okay.
But I think unless we take it off, it would be on there until we take it off. If I'm not mistaken, maybe Derek, you could clarify a little more on that one.
You're right.
Yeah, it
Chairman.
would go on as long as we had it on there. We could take it off at any time, change the amount. It's not a debt service.
Okay, because then my point is, yeah, I mean, we can, I know it's putting the ball back in your court, Troy, but you're the director where it's reviewed in 5 years, it's reviewed in 10 years. Where are we at? Do we have to push the envelope higher at that time? And not that we're, pushing it, kicking the can down the road slightly, but we can recover. From what you're telling me, it sounds like we can recover or go into a higher recovery phase, let's say, in 5 years or 10 years, if if you can show us that, hey, we need to make a little bit more investment here, and here's why.
Well, so this is never going to be, we spent X amount of dollars, so now maintenance of our system is taken care of forever. Like,
oh, I get it.
What we did is we've quantified literally just about every asset in our system, took a replacement cost and divided it by reasonable service life and annualized it. So 10 years from now, I don't believe we're going to be, recommending a base fee of 0. We're going to be recommending, some sort of another base fee based upon a 10-year projection. And I don't believe it's a coincidence that the annualized numbers that we came up with jive pretty well with what our depreciation numbers are in our financial reports. There's a reason that those numbers match each other, because that depreciation number accounts for basically the equity bleeding out of our system. And these base fees are about putting equity back into our system.
Thank you.
Alderman Strack, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm the new guy. Well, can't we make this a $2 increase?
I mean, we can, that, I guess that fee is a little bit more arbitrary. But it would be, it'd be a compromise, I guess, between the two options.
Well, at the end of the day, here's the deal. If we need to build infrastructure and no one's willing to put more than 50 cents in the deal, we've got to find a number that starts to build equity and starts to refund that account, because this isn't going away. Troy, you just said it, right? I mean, this has to, at some point in time, I get your two options and I totally understand, but if we can't get approval from all of us on where that number is, we need to find a number that works for everybody, including staff, yes, we got some, you've been bleeding down every dollar we can to try to get that, but we can't continue to bleed down. There's nothing left to bleed down at this point, which is my concern. If we only go 50 cents, where does that leave us 3 years from now? We're back here having the same conversation.
So if council wanted to I guess, strike a compromise between the two options. Our approach with it to staff is that we would probably pare back both the water main program to the most essential of the projects that we're frankly considering them all essential, and then also pare back the sewer lining again with along the same lines, in terms of just pare them down based off on severity.
So if
we're capable of doing that.
So Troy, if we get consensus from council to do a $2 increase, you would build a package. What, Vic?
I'm sorry. Taking notes. Mic off.
That's all right. If we get a consensus of the $2, could you build a package around that and then bring it for approval by council at that point? Right? Isn't that
we could.
So with that said, can we get, if we can't get the B, could we get the $2 or $3 and have Troy build a package on the $2 or $3 increase and make that work by those that were against B? And like, for instance, Alderman Harding or Alderman Glab.
Yeah,
Alderman Glab.
to state that all I'm asking is that maybe we come up with a couple different scenarios. In other words, okay, we've got the 50 cents and it seems like everybody wants to go there. Alderman Strzok has a good point, that maybe there's something in between. So maybe we look at $1, $2, and $3 and what we can do for the 2, what we can do for the 3, and what we can do, for $1. And then we can visualize more of where we want to go and what we're willing to spend with what needs to be done.
Alderman Miller, go ahead.
So I'm not the new girl anymore. And I guess I see this a different direction. So, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that let's say we approve the 50 cents and that's where we're at. And then we have a ginormous water main issue. All that really happens is that we come back to a budget amendment to fix the water main. So we spend money that we don't have allocated and we make it up somewhere else to fix the water main. So we spend the money or we make the money or we take the money from somewhere else. So it frustrates me that we essentially play the rob Peter to pay Paul system instead of giving the department the money they need to make a 10-year plan to do the work they need to do. And that's why I get frustrated by these conversations that you have Director Strange, who's worked hard to say, this is what I need. I've looked at everything that needs to be done. And Director Lynch has found a way to do it for an affordable figure. And yet we're going to tie both of their hands and say, no, we're going to make you come back and beg for money when a major event happens that we now have to pay for with some money that was allocated somewhere else. Because every dollar that comes into this budget is allocated. Each one of you has read the 300-page plus budget that's created. There's not a penny that isn't allocated for. So I guess that's the part that I now find frustrating as the not new girl on the block. That yes, we make the money show up, but that means it's taken out of somebody else's kitty when that water main breaks and Troy needs money to fix it. But yet he's presenting us a very viable situation here to say, I can do a 10-year water main replacement and put us back on track. And we're saying, nope, that's not good enough. I just find that irresponsible. Those are my words. I apologize.
Thank you, sir. Any others? Alderman Glab, hold on one second. Any other comments by council? Alderman Glab, go ahead. Alderman McClatchy, go ahead.
Troy, thank you, Mayor. Troy, When is the EPA loan going to be paid up?
So there's two of them actually. Or Carolyn, I don't know if the 2010, if that's an EPA loan or not, but that's a $6
No, it's a bond for that one.
or $6 fee that comes off the books in 2038. 38.
I think it was 38.
Or sorry, 2029. I'm thinking 2037, 38 is the consolidation. Because we're about 10 years out for the $6 and then we're 17 out on the
$40. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Alderman Santi, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor and Alderwoman Miller. I appreciate it. We came in the meeting. Troy has presented us two options. So we're trying to look at this and you could have came in guns and blazes and just said, hey, it's option B or nothing. So it was presented as A and B to us tonight. I know Alderman Streck has made a couple of comments that I really appreciate him, saying in regards to, maybe there's a number. Carolyn and Troy have done a great job of crunching numbers. I don't know how to express it except to say that that's what they need to do. That is their positions here. They work for the city of McHenry. They're full-time employees, and I respect for what they're doing. Is there potential of some give and take here, and will it be worthy, and will it survive? Will it make that? Will it be able to give us that 10-year replacement window? I don't have those answers, and but my point being is that they came to us with A and B, and that's what we're looking at today. If there's, if some discussion can be had by staff and brings it back into us as individuals, as council members, to express a position that we can come back as a whole and agree, 7-0 on a on a structure. Fantastic. It's something that still can be done, and unless I'm missing something from Troy or Carolyn, I appreciate what they've done. This is what they do. And if they come back to us and say, hey, this is it, and give us the A, B's, and C's of why, okay. I want to know that, because it seems like there's definitely some give and take here that's going on. And if there's a mutual number that we can all agree upon, fantastic. I thank you for your time, everybody.
Alderman Glad, go ahead.
Yeah, Mayor. The problem winds up is yeah, we'd love to spend every dime we possibly could to get our system. And nobody's been hammering about infrastructure more than I have over the last few years. However, you hear the constituents. They just took a big hit. 3 years in a row as far as the debt service, just a couple of years ago, and now we're talking more money. And maybe whether it's 50 cents a dollar or whatever, or even $2, maybe what we do is we can always build in that ordinance an inflationary figure as well, so that it's just slow, gradual as time goes on, so that funds do grow, but not at such a big impact all at once. So it's just another thing to look at, Troy, as far as when you're presenting something, that maybe that's the way to look at it. We start at an X number and then just a slow inflationary percentage after that.
That is something to consider. That is something we actually discussed, but we weren't sure how that would be perceived, because with our capital development fees, when we kept on escalating based on CPI, the number did over a long period of time get a little bit out of hand.
Yeah, but we also did have a lot of people right now that are looking at, why am I paying more for debt service when we gave the reductions on the impact fees, and some people are remembering that. So Let's not, I'm sorry I brought that up. We probably shouldn't just keep bringing up the past. But let's look at that too, as far as I like the idea of start out small and slowly grow rather than all of a sudden, boom, you know, whether, like Alderman Strzok said, eventually we're going to wind up paying the price. So let's take it slow and gradual rather than all at once. And I think maybe we'll get further that way.
So, okay, so is the direction, so I guess there's three options people have kind of laid out. Is the direction A, B, or select something somewhere in between and have staff develop a program fit to that number and bring it back for approval? And we are capable of doing any of those.
Good question.
Troy, basically the option 3 is going to be how much, what can we do for water main replacement over the 50-cent increase? Because that's all going to go to it's all going to go to water main replacement. So what is water main replacement run? Like what's the, you know, like I don't know what you get. I don't know what you get for 50 cents additional, what that generates for revenue or $1, but how much water main replacement can you do for $1? I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And they don't have to figure it out now, but that's really what we're talking about adding in, you know, over the 50 cent is if we go to $1 or $1.50 or $2, it just has to do with how much water main we can replace and when, whether it's every year or every other year or every 3 years. So that's really what the additional funding gets. No other service options, no other options other than the water main replacement, right, Troy?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we could discuss dialing back the pace at which we line our sewers if we wanted to cut back in that way as well. Right now, that number is based upon a 20-year lining program of all of our clay, because by the time 20 years is up, every single foot of clay in town is going to be pushing 100 years old. At the current base fee of $6, we generate $420,000 a year. So just prorating roughly every $1.50 in base fees generates about $100,000 in total fees. So I believe our 10-year water main program is $4.8 million. And that equated to about $8 a year in base fees.
That's about $500,000 a year then it would generate for that $4.8 million 10-year program.
Yep.
So you basically get a quarter, or 30% of what you would get at $1.50 more.
So yeah, so we could we basically pick the quarter most essential projects and do them over that same time period if we dial it back and, you know, met somewhere in the middle.
Right.
And I think what's more important even is to let the residents, and I know the residents don't know the whole background of sewer linings and the issues we do have in our sewers. I think we need to be more transparent and letting the public know what's going on, because everyone sees these dollars, and it's not like we're just blowing money, but I think it's important that we let these residents know that this is a need that is something that we need to do in the city of McHenry. And I think we need to do better on getting the residents more informed about stuff like this, because just for instance, I mean, this sewer that's on, I think it was Oakwood that we had issues. I mean, they don't know that, we're having issues where it's actually flooding people's homes, in Lakeland Park. I mean, there's issues out there. They don't know about any of that. They don't know the concerns that we have in the future of our infrastructure. So I think we need to do a better job of, whether we go with A or B or C or D, whatever the case may be, we need to do a better job as far as getting that out there in the public when we make a decision as well. So that's just my personal opinion. But Alderman Strack, go ahead.
So again, we're all here tonight, right? Troy's looking for some direction and some guidance on where we're supposed to go. We're talking about 50 cents or $8. Alderwoman Miller and I are on the $8 mark, and the rest of us are not quite there. So, and Alderman Devine as well. So we're split. So where's a number that we can give Troy that works? Is it $3? Is it $4? We need to have a discussion and figure out what to tell Troy, because again, he's going to go back to the table now to sharpen his pencil with no real direction. 50 cents or $1 is not going to cut it. We need to be at $3 probably to make any kind of an impact at all to get a buffer on this deal. So in my opinion, we need to give Troy a number. What is that number that all 7 of us can come to a consensus with? What is that number? Is it $3? Can we all agree that $3 is what Troy gets to play with or not? Because I think we really need to give some direction.
I agree. Alderman Miller, go ahead.
That was going to be my additional comment is I don't think we can be vague. I think we need to be pretty specific about what that's going to buy us in the end. And to Sean's earlier point, this stuff is all subterranean other than painting the water towers. Our residents don't see these improvements. So to your point, Mayor Jett, we need to be very transparent, shoot video. I get excited about looking at bad sewer lines. I think they're exciting because I can see when they're fixed. I'm excited that Director Strange wants me to look at the videotaping of the bad sewer lines. I find that exciting. I think some of our residents would find it exhilarating to look at bad sewer lines and see when the lining goes in, that we've saved them an incredible amount of money, not having to dig them up and fix them and put new ones in. We've got to be better at messaging because otherwise people are like, oh, they're hoarding money. We're not hoarding money. We're investing in our future and saving money. So I agree with Sean. We have to give them a big enough budget to make a difference. And we need to be transparent in what we're making them the increase for and put our message out there consistent, clear, and relatively easy to find so people know what we're doing with the increase. Otherwise, we're going to have negative feedback.
Agreed. Alderman Glab, go ahead.
I still like the idea of the $1, $2, $3 to where Troy could spell out what he can do for $1, what can he do for $2, and what he can do for $3. And it gives us somewhat of an idea of if we cut it back to just 50 cents or $1, this is all he can do. If it's $2, this is what can be done. If it's $3, this is what he can do. I don't think anybody's really didn't sound to me other than 1 or 2 that are willing to go more than $2 or $3 on debt service. So maybe you want to take a poll on that.
All right, so Alderman Harding, if we come back with a $3 amount, I'm kind of thrown. If we come back with a $3 amount, would you support a $3?
Yeah, I'm flexible with that for sure.
Okay. Alderman Santee?
Yes, I'm in agreement with that. I remember we were presented this before and we were looking at, correct me if I'm wrong, Troy, we were looking at nothing, 4, 6, and I think 11 or 13.
We were looking at 0 for basically maintenance of pretty much our equipment, wells, lift stations, plants, vehicles and
It was
equipment.
4.
$1.50 base fee was the water tower option. Sewer lining on its own was in the mid 4s. $6.40 included sewer lining and towers, and then the top option included sewer lining, water towers, and the 10-year water main replacement program.
Wasn't there a $6 and some option?
No, yeah. So there was, you know what? Here, it was I believe it was $1.50, $4.60,
Yes,
$6.40, and $14.85.
Yes.
So $1.50
and am
was
I
adding tower painting, and then $4.60 or whatever it was on its own was sewer lining only. $6.40 was tower painting and sewer lining.
And prior to seeing this proposal, the way you presented it tonight and the numbers that I see, I was looking into agreeing with Troy and staff that I'd be willing to go between that $4 to $6 window, because those were the 2 I reviewed before reviewing this new. Now I know you kind of move some things around, but that being said, I was willing to move up to the $6 mark. So you've got my comment.
So would you support B?
No, $6 is not $8.50, okay?
Okay, I thought we were going back to B here. If we were going back to B.
No,
Okay.
No, but we're, Sean started off, we're playing with a number here and
Yeah.
Ryan, stepped in and I'm not going to hide behind it. I was looking between the $4 to $6 mark. So, I was willing to go there.
So if we got a $3 to $4 mark, can we agree that we go to $3 or $4?
I can't afford anything higher than 3.
All right, let's go to $4. Let's bring it back, Director Strange, and bring it back to council the following couple meetings, whatever you want to do. But let's bring it back to $4 as an increase, and let's make sure that we get a message out to the public too of what we're doing this for and how we're going to be spending this money. All right, Alderman Strange, Strack, go ahead.
So just help me, because again, I'm the new guy. So we're talking about, let's see what $4 does. So can we not make that decision tonight to get a vote on $4?
No.
It's only a discussion item tonight. We have to bring an ordinance back with the
Got
change.
it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got it. I apologize. I forgot that
No,
this
you're
was
right.
discussion only. Great.
Yep.
So that's good. I just want to make sure that I'm understanding the process correctly, but we've got to find a number that works. And I appreciate everybody's support and at least having an open dialogue to say, hey, let's find a number that fits for everybody.
No, I appreciate all the council. Let's go ahead and have Troy bring it back as $4. And we'll go from there. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Troy. Thank you, council. All right. Next item on the agenda is executive session. If you are from the general public and you're on this meeting, you're going to be put into a waiting room. Monty is going to be doing that right now. So we're going to go into executive session to discuss the purpose of lease in real estate property for the use of the public body, including meetings held for the purpose of discussing whether a particular parcel should be acquired 5 ILCS 120-2C5. At this time, I'm going to ask for a motion and a second to enter executive session. Alderman Santee,
I'll make the motion.
thank you. Seconded by Alderman McClatchy.
So moved.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee,
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy,
Yes.
Alderman Glad,
Yes.
Alderman Harding,
Yes.
Alderman Strack,
Yes.
Alderman Devine,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller.
Yes.
Thank you. Monty, can you go ahead and get them in the waiting room?
Yes.
Here.
Alderman Glad,
Here.
Alderman McClatchy,
Here.
Alderman Harding,
Here.
Alderman Strack,
Here.
Alderman Devine,
Here.
Alderwoman Miller.
Here.
Thank you, council. Staff reports were sent to you September 20th. So there is no other staff reports unless directors have anything here. I don't think so. I think we're good. Mayor's report.
Mayor, there's one thing we need to mention real quick because it
Go ahead,
will
Cody.
become available in the future. Ross, I don't know if you want to kind of give a
Yeah,
mention
right.
about-
So the roller rink property, we are currently trying to work with the roller rink on getting this site cleaned up. However, in the process of this, they have been approached by a developer, a multifamily developer. We have not had many conversations with them. But somehow the Northwest Herald got a hold that this developer was interested in the roller rink property and contacted us today. So we don't know what type of story, we don't know what's going to happen. So I just wanted to make everybody aware that there is a multifamily developer working to secure the roller rink property pending an approval from the city. But we really don't have much information on it. But I wanted to make you all aware in case it hit the newspaper, so you guys, nobody was blindsided.
Thank you, Ross. All right. Any other staff reports? Derek, anything else? No. Mayor's report, obviously, big week for Rise Up Foundation. So we've been grinding over the last 2 years in the making of getting this concert off the ground. Tickets are going very well. Friday, we're expecting around 3,000 to 3,500 people in the park. Saturday, we're expecting around 7,500. So there is a map that's on the website. Yeah, Rise Up Foundation, riseupmchenry.org. It has the map, the whole FAQs and all that. If any council members want to participate, volunteer, or even just get in the park, please let me know and I'll go ahead and have access for you at the volunteer or staff sign-in, just so you can get it out and check it out. Other than that, yeah, there will be fireworks going off at 11 o'clock at night. So in case you guys forgot about that, you may get a couple calls, whether it's gunshots or whatever the case may be with the residents putting it all on social media, but it's only a couple minute show. So other than that, that's all I have. I'll move forward with city council comments. Alderman Santee, go ahead.
Yes, it's just come to my attention the last couple of weeks that nothing has been confirmed yet, but it's my understanding that Northwest Hospital in McHenry is going to be eliminating obstetrics at this hospital. I would just like to request a letter from council members if they're comfortable with it in regards to not supporting this. Obstetrics, babies have been part of McHenry since day one. There's a concern in regards to travel issues for people, especially north and northeast of our hospital, having to go south and southwest. I just wanted to present that to the council members and to staff and just basically say, what's the next step? Maybe go to Derek real quickly, just to, how does that work? Can we put a letter together if we're willing to approve it at the next meeting or next month or something?
Yeah, so, I mean, I'll look for some input from David on this too, but I mean, really, it could be as simple as if everybody nods their head, I guess, we can put together a draft letter from the city, just expressing our concern that they're leaving the community and encouraging them to rethink it and to stay here in McHenry. I can draft that pretty quickly and with the facts of the matter and send it to council to take a look at, or I could do a boilerplate letter that council could use for your own letters there. David, is there enough?
So he can't talk, which is really good, actually. So
you just move your mouth, David, and we'll pick up.
So we can go ahead and do a letter by the entire council.
Okay.
So if we got the okay by all the council members to do that, we could certainly get a letter out and we can get it to the president of Northwest.
Yeah, I could have it out tomorrow, or at least a draft to send to council tomorrow, or however you want to. If you just trust the verbiage that I'm going to put in it, then I can just have one drafted and send it to them tomorrow, and just CC council on it.
Thank you, Derek.
Is there any objection to that? Okay. All right.
I think what to put in that letter is the fact of how supportive the city of McHenry has been for that hospital right from the get-go, right at the beginning and so forth.
Yeah, no, I agree, Andy. That's exactly what I had planned on doing too. So thank you for that input.
Perfect. Okay. Any other city council comments?
Yeah, I've got a big issue going on over my neighborhood with the school and everything with the traffic now. Years ago, when the school was expanded, that bus lane was put in there. It was supposed to be a walk path years back, and it turned into a bus lane. But there was a caveat, the fact that they'd have to have a gate on there. It's supposed to be right turnout only. And it was to be for buses only. And they were supposed to open up the gate in the morning for the buses to leave when they dropped off the kids. And again, when they take the kids out in the afternoon, to open it up again. Otherwise, that gate is supposed to be closed, and there isn't supposed to be any traffic traveling through that bus lane. I've got an email here where I have a woman that took it, and she recorded the travels of one day, and just in the Exodus, counted 115 cars and 22 buses in a 35-minute period leaving onto Oakwood into a residential neighborhood. That's a senior area. It's a very delicate area, and that is an astronomical amount of traffic that gets dumped into a subdivision. That should be going out on a Crystal Lake Road. And I think we need to look at it as far as sending a letter to the school, the fact that that is and was approved as a bus lane and not for anything else. There were discussions in that back in 2001, 2002 sometime. And it was deemed that and agreed upon by the school that they would keep that gate closed except for the time when the buses are leaving the area. So could we see what we could do about that? Chief, I think you're the one that's been quite a bit involved in the traffic patterns over there.
I am. Yeah, I can provide some feedback. I met with Susan, or one of my staff members met with Susan today and talked to her about the concerns that she had. I've also spoken with the superintendent, who is more than willing to sit down with Susan and her other neighbor to discuss what their concerns are. Susan lives right across the street from the exit. So just a little bit of feedback here. You know, we're all week this week, we will monitor the traffic that comes out onto Oakwood so we can get a better idea of the cars. This afternoon, we saw 84 cars leave on Oakwood and 20 buses. It is a right turn only. They're only allowed to turn right and go to Royal. They're not allowed to turn left. Nobody turned left during that time period. I do have her videos. I watched them. There was no violations of any sort that were from them, other than that's just traffic for that period of time where the buses go out. It's always between 20 and 22 buses. Some of her concerns were, you know, the school doubled in size, things like that. And so we had to spend some time just trying to explain to her that that was not the case. You know, the school did add 225 students this year to their population. They originally had about 1,400, and now they're just over 1,600. But this was the item that was discussed at the council level in 2019. So if we go back to that August 19th, 2019 council meeting, that was part of that discussion in the consent agenda, or the agenda item was the discussion of that exit and being a right turn only for buses and or parent drop-off pickup traffic. And that's all we're seeing going out there. We're actually, right now, the school is sending out half of the parent bus or parent drop-off pickup traffic. So anybody that wants to continue to go northbound on Crystal Lake Road goes out, turns right on Oakwood, turns right on Royal, and goes to that stoplight. And that's all that time we spent in the timing on the lights based on our discussion from 2019. And the school district did pay for all of those adjustments to the lights. And then anybody that's going south, a parent drop-off pickup exits off the old bus lanes right off of Crystal Lake Road and goes back south. So, and the buses are the same as they were in previous years. So they've been doing the same thing with those buses with the right out only. But we did talk to Susan. We are going to meet with her. Dr. McTagg wants to meet with her too, to make sure that anything that he can do to meet her concerns and try to address some of her issues as well. So our goal is to meet with those. There's another resident there too that has some issues, and we want to make sure that we bring her in the meeting as well. So we're going to bring both of them in. They both live right there by that exit, and there are only a couple units that are affected by the right turn only, and these are two of them. So we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to meet their needs too.
Well, you've got the building that's adjacent to this bus lane as well. I mean,
that's the other lady I'm referring to.
Okay.
She's the president of your association.
What's that?
She is apparently the president of your neighborhood association.
What's the first name?
I don't have that with me. I'm sorry.
Oh.
That's who Susan told us she was. So.
All right. I don't think so, but I could be wrong. I'm not sure.
Either way, we want to make sure we bring her in because we want to make sure we're meeting her needs as well.
Right. Absolutely. Well, the thing is, you know, the promises, when the school developed in the first place, the promise was that it would be bus lanes only. And those gates are supposed to be closed when the buses aren't actually leaving. I don't think that gate might be rusted open, for God's sakes, for the last time they ever closed that thing. And it's amazing how over time that promises and approvals get forgotten very quickly. And with changes of administration and everything else as well. There's probably been second administrator since that bus lane went in, so.
I did pull up all the prior meeting minutes dating back to 2001 and any other past agreements we have that would have been prior to 2019. And I did not find anything other than in 2016, there was an agreement that the bus traffic would go out there and make a right turn. And it was a preferred bus traffic only, but not a mandated bus traffic only. I could forward you any of those notes or any of those agreements if you'd like to see them too.
But what you're saying is within the wording is not exact, and it just kind of implies that it's a bus lane, but that there could be vehicles that.
I think in 2019, we discussed it with council, and that's what I was getting back to, was we clearly discussed that we wanted to move some parent drop-off pickup out of that lane and make it a right turn only. It's right in the agenda item. I can forward that as well. And that was behind the most recent agreement that was signed from 2019.
Could you send me that, and could you send me the minutes of the meeting as well?
Yes.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Chief.
Yep, and I will update all of council once we meet with those couple residents, just like we did with the traffic patterns that we were seeing on Chris Lake Road. I'll send everybody an email just to let you know how that's going. But overall, our traffic flow it's actually done very well. We're right back within the timeframes that we saw prior to the expansion of the school, which our target was to make sure that we could get rid of traffic congestion within a 15-minute or less time frame. And we've been able to meet that almost every day. There's always a couple outliers once in a while. And please keep in mind too, we do have more parent drop-off pickup going on right now because of COVID, and we're somewhat optimistic that that will lighten up come next year as well.
Thanks, Chief.
Any other city council comments? Alderman McClatchy, go ahead. You're on mute. There you go.
Oh, sorry about that. I was going to bring up an issue tonight about a dumpster on Elm Street, and me and Ross talked about it a couple months ago, and complaints still appear. And I got an email from Ross today, so thank you, Ross. And it looks like we're heading in the right direction to fix that.
Yeah, I hope, fly dumping is the issue at hand, and some of these businesses in the downtown area are getting hit pretty hard. So they start to look pretty ratty over time. We do routes through the downtown in the dumpster areas. Part of the other problem is that some of these businesses, and this business in particular, has been around since prior to our ordinance being adopted. So having a dumpster enclosure, they're legal non-conforming because they were there prior to the requirement for a dumpster enclosure. But I did talk to that individual today, and hopefully he keeps an eye on things and it gets resolved.
Okay, thank you.
Any other city council comments?
Mary Beth Varda.
Alderman Glenn. You're on mute.
Okay. Troy, I don't know if I get a chance to talk to you tomorrow or not, time-wise, but I'm just curious about, I know we did a storm cleanup and everything else a month or two ago, and we had one tree that came down over there on Chesterfield. And we've got that, the base of the tree still sitting there with, we've got growth now that's probably 3 to 4 feet coming out of the trunk straight up. Do we have any idea of plans of when that's going to be taken care of as far as dug out?
I can get you an update, and I believe we've got a locate called in for it. And then I won't lie, we deferred the stump grinding and restoration a little bit because we've got a lot of really good weather right now. And we're trying to wrap up those ADAs that we're doing in-house in advance of the road program. So we have made some decisions about what things we can and can't defer. And so that one has been deferred a little bit.
Sure, and I know that one looks like quite a difficult one in the right way. So, yeah, if you could just send me an email with an update on that soon, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Any other city council comments?
I think she's hungry. I don't think you feed her as much as I do.
Vic, your speaker's on, just so you know.
Go feed her.
All right, we'll go ahead and ask.
My apologies, Mayor.
No, you're okay. I'm kind of hungry too, actually. No.
The dog's
Alderman McClatchy, go ahead.
and I already fed her.
I would make I would make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Second. Alderman Santee.
Yeah, me and the pooch second it.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman McClatchy,
Yes.
Alderman Santee,
Yes.
Alderman Glad,
Yes.
Alderman Harding,
Yes.
Alderman Strack,
Yes.
Alderman Devine,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller.
Yes.
Have a good night.
Thank you, you too. Take care, everyone.